Evan, how you doing? Week 2 of our little project.
Yes, week two, and I have to say, I've decided to resign as coach of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I really don't think this. I knew anything about the cheating scandal that was going on in the Astros, but I feel as though it's a thing to do. So,
Yeah, that's definitely something that if it was any other week, that would be the main topic of conversation regarding the Astros in question, Altuve, not so much Springer, Beltran, of what that's going to affect for their Hall of Fame chances. A few days ago, I would have said not that much. I would have been wrong. I would have been
yeah,
way wrong.
it's amazing how far it's gone. I'm a Red Sox fan, and the Red Sox are caught up in this as well. And I am going to publicly say here, the Red Sox deserve whatever the heck they get out of this. I'm a Patriots defender. I defend the wall all the time. When it comes to the Red Sox and this ownership group, whatever comes out of this is not going to be enough punishment.
Mm-hmm.
They were the team in 2017 under the previous administration, under Farrell, who was using Apple Watches in the dugout, and we're told they were punished. They got literally a slap on the wrist. But the league said, hey, this is the last time we're dealing with this. Nobody else do this. And then the Astros happened that same year. And then we hired Cora, who brought whatever it was with him. And we were already completely on notice. Like 100% on notice as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And they still, whatever they did, I don't care what it was. If it was anything, they were completely unnoticed, and they completely deserve. They deserve at least what happened to the Astros, even if that was the reporting that's coming out of Boston. It wasn't as sophisticated a plan,
right,
as the Astros had. It doesn't matter. They completely and utterly deserve both loss of both draft picks, the $5 million fine, or the 4 draft picks, I guess, first, second round, both this year and next. The $5 million fine. They've already gotten rid of Cora. The general manager is Dombrowski. He's already gone. So there's no Rule 16 of life. It's always easiest to hang a corpse. There's no one there for them to hang. But this ownership group in Boston has managed to do something I thought was nearly impossible, which was make the Red Sox not entertaining. Or not even entertaining. Make the Red Sox someone who Boston fans can actually root against. I'm not talking about the players.
Yeah, of course.
I'm talking Betts and Benintendi and those guys. Like they brought us 4 championships. Well, maybe three championships, and one that may have had some questionable ethics involved, and they are so frustrating for a team. We should absolutely love them, and nobody does, which is very strange. So anyway, that's not how we want to start. We're talking about the other good things of the Hall of Fame, right?
No, we are, but now I just have to segue into my sort of like Team Canada, Toronto Blue Jays. Oh, we just had Roberto Alomar giving people potential AIDS, so I mean that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, well, Robbie Alomar spitting in someone's face seems so quaint these days.
It kind of. Oh yeah, he was in this commercial for. What was it? It was a company called McCain's, and they did a bunch of they had a bunch of juice and something like that. So, and Almar couldn't speak much English, so they just had him do like one line as he was catching a ground ball, like catch the taste. And I remember saying, "Oh," and now he's saying, "Catch the AIDS." My show, I can do whatever I want.
You can indeed. But the spitting in the face thing does remind me of one thing. One other person I want to call out because I'm on a roll here.
Yeah,
Marshall Yanda of the Baltimore Ravens. It may have been your last game, and you may have a Hall of Fame career coming up. You're at least going to be in the discussion. But he complained that somebody spit in his face during that game and that he had never heard about it in the history of football before. And last year, he spit in Vontaze Burfict's face. Let's just stop the hypocrisy all the way around. I know it's Vontaze Burfict, and that guy is.
I was just gonna say it's perfect, right? I mean,
yeah.
What did you do at first?
It's almost like spitting in the face of cancer. I understand, but just let's be consistent. Like when the guy's like, "I've never heard of it," and you did it the year before. Shut up. I hate the Ravens. Anyway, continue.
Oh wow.
Hi. How are you? How are things going? How many beers in you are?
12.
Are you? Oh my God. I talk like Yoda all of a sudden. I've had 2 sips of my my Point Porter here, and and I'm already mixing words up.
All right, so then I'll answer like Yoda. 12 beers I have.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, but then again, I don't have to wake up early like you do with kids. I've never
I
met
do
my
have two little
kids.
kids.
I'm sure I
Um,
have them, but if I did, they would be in their 20s now, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, as long as it's past 18 years, you'll be okay.
Yeah, well, also I'm in the Caribbean. Try to get that child support now. But anyway,
I think you have to be the Caymans for that, don't you?
You know what? I don't know. It's a good question. But we should get to like the main event here, which is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And first thing I want to do is do a shout out to future rock legends and the person who on their forum who broke it, who broke the code and actually sort of figured out the 6 inductees before it was announced the day before the day before.
Yeah. I think we were
Yeah, you
texting
mentioned
about that. Yeah, I know, or we were on Twitter about that once that came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good sleuthing work. I'm not surprised that the Rock Hall is incapable of keeping a secret or knowing that, because people try this all the time with the Rock Hall, and every year it seems to work. But yeah, it was good on them. Their site does some really good work all around on it.
For sure.
And yeah, it was. I remember we were saying, is this really the Hall? These are people they're actually going to pick, because there were some surprises there, or surprises both by omission and admission.
Yes.
But yeah, we have a class of 6.
Yeah, we have a class of 6. Not the class of 6 that I would have personally picked, but then again, is it ever? So
no, right. I mean, it wasn't the 16 nominees we would have picked either.
That's true. That's true. So let's just do it alphabetically. You called this one. I believe I did not. Depeche Mode is in.
Yeah, Depeche Mode is in. I thought when we originally did this, because they're one of the ones who I originally picked to be on the ballot. The Cure opened up the door for Depeche Mode,
right?
And it opens up the door, I guess, for the next 2 bands I think benefit the most from Depeche Mode getting in are the Smiths and New Order / Joy Division.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So I think that slot, the new wave, early 80s slot is going to be open again, which is nice. I expect it's going to be one of those 3 bands, or maybe we see a Joy Division, Joy Division, New Order combo like we did with Faces, Small Faces.
Right.
I prefer they go in individually, but if we can just get them in, that'd be great. I'm pretty happy about Depeche Mode getting in. It's interesting, though, because they are... If you look at this list, what's the one thing that really missing from the list of bands who got in here, in your opinion?
There is no metal band, in my opinion.
There's no metal band, but how many guitars are there?
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
The Doobies. That's it, right?
Well, T-Rex.
I mean, if you're T-Rex. I'm sorry, you're right. T-Rex with glam rock. That is true. But this is the first time where you have a majority of bands that don't use a guitar, or inductees who don't use a guitar. I'm pretty sure in the history of the Rock Hall.
I think you're right. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and
that's why you're on the show.
Depeche Mode is right at the forefront of that with the electronic music. And it's, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's great they're in. I think they deserve to be in. I think that it's good to see them getting more early 80s bands, late 70s, early 80s bands in, because that's a time period they kind of forgot for a while. But yeah, I'm pretty excited that Depeche Mode got through.
Yeah, no, I am also. Actually, God damn it, I feel like I'm so astute for this sort of things, but you just sort of hit me with something that I never thought of. Yeah, damn it. But that's good. That's good. Doobie Brothers are in. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Doobie
please.
Brothers. I was just going to say one thing. Like I said, with those late 70s, early 80s bands. So I would go back as to what class people were originally in. So the Depeche Mode's been eligible since 2007. and they're only the third act from 2007 who's gotten in. REM got in the first time, and then Stevie Nicks got in last year, and now Depeche Mode.
Right.
So just like that, you can just tell from that time period. We're 2007. We're now 13 years in. We finally got our second band last year and a third band this year. There's just, you can see the bubble. But with that it's nice to see people getting in from that time period.
Yeah, actually, now that makes me think about how you do that. You did that on Twitter with, granted, it was something different. It was the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and you were closing off classes with the senior. Yeah, that's a very valid point. Yeah, for sure. So the Doobies are in. I think when they were nominated, you and I both said they were a lock, and they are.
Yeah. Yeah, they were a lock, particularly with the. We weren't surprised they were nominated. At least I wasn't. No. Based off of the politicking. You had them on there too, right? They were on my original list. Were they on yours?
Yeah. I mean, they were ones I think we both picked. This is one of those ones where we're not that far off, actually, at all. No.
Yeah. That is pretty true. But the Doobies, there was all that politicking going on with their manager in the background, trying to make a big push for them getting in. It was all over at the end of the summer, early fall that was going on. So, and honestly, the spot was open. The first time, long time spot had basically been, I mean, that was Roxy Music last year, Dire Straits the year before, with the Moody Blues, this Electric Light Orchestra the year before that. So that spot was open and available, and it was a surprise the Doobies went in. This is their 50th year, I believe, as a band, which is kind of amazing that they're still going. But yeah, it's not surprising to see. The Doobie Brothers are the least surprising band on this group, I would say, even more so than the one first ballot who got in. Yeah, no,
I would agree with that. I mean, like, I think they're long-time deserving, at least long-time deserving of a nomination or even a look. So, if in terms of personal happiness, that's the group I'm most happy for.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see. It's great to see the Doobies get in. And they went through so many different changes too over the year with different lineups and changing the sound and everything. So it's not like they're just a one-dimensional band who played the same thing over and over. But yeah, it's good to see the Doobies in, and they deserve to be there. They probably should have been in earlier, but the process is what it is.
Right.
So,
since you talked about sort of like their process, or sort of like the transformation of the Doobies, Tom Johnson or Mike McDonald? In your opinion, who would you rather see?
I can't. Who would I rather see?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like. I've never seen the Doobies. I kind of like to see them both. I think maybe Tom Johnson. I can't get. There was a group that did made fun of singers' voices, and I just can't get their way of singing Michael McDonald out of my head.
Family Guy did. So Tate took a dump on Mike McDonald a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I can't do it justice. It was basically, I sing somewhere from the back of my throat.
Yes.
I eat a lot of cheese because it helps me to sing like I'm a sad dog. Yeah, so that was skit. I can't get, whenever I hear Michael McDonald, I can't get that skit out of my head. I'd like to see Mike McDonald, so I guess he finishes in second place in the situation.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'll be there.
And that is the first actual impression I think I've ever done on the show in on the year and a half we've been doing these things. So that may very well be my last.
Nice. Well, I'm sure I'll do a lot of bad ones because I don't do any good ones. So up next, we got Whitney. I was surprised she got nominated, but when she did, I figured she was going to walk through. But we'll get to who the person who I thought she might have gotten at expense later. Somebody asked me on Twitter, you might have saw that, who I thought was going to induct her. And I said Bobby.
I did not see that.
Okay, so somebody asked me, like, who's Whitney going to be inducted by? And I thought, well, how about Bobby? And then they said, well, no, after what he did. And I'm like, well, who else? Like, I don't know. Who inducts Whitney Houston?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably going to be... It may be a contemporary more than anything else.
Oh, crap.
So we may end up with
is Clive Davis still alive?
Madonna? I think Clive Davis is still alive.
All right, there you go. It's Clive Davis. I didn't even think of that before. I should have thought of that before I responded to that one person on Twitter. That makes the most sense. How do you feel about Whitney getting in?
Clive Davis is 87, so
I'll be still alive.
I mean, he'll be 88 by the time this happens. So we'll see.
Yeah. So,
sorry, what was the question?
No, I was asking, what do you think of Whitney getting in? Because
I think it's surprising that if there's only one woman getting in, that she was the one who did. But I mean, she's been on lots of people's lists as the most overlooked, or one of the most overlooked people getting in. I mean, I believe on the Future Rock Legends, I think she was number 60 of their most overlooked artists. So I mean, she's certainly worthy. She's been in the conversation. Mm-hmm. She's only been eligible for 5 or 6 years at this point.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. So am I shocked she got in? No. Am I shocked about the reaction from certain corners of the internet that she got in? No.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I'm going to say this for everybody who didn't hear me last week. I'll say it again. It's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yes, I understand that. But the people who founded it, rock and roll was popular music when they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, rock and roll has developed. Rock and roll came from R&B and the blues and country and bluegrass and everything mixed together. We got rock and roll out of it. And then rock and roll was a point that a whole bunch of other people jumped off of. And all these other different types of music that have come into pop, come into pop country even, rap, I mean, even reggae, everything else has come out of where rock and roll was. But rock and roll did not stay static with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. It has changed since then. And the meaning of the word has changed since then.
Absolutely.
Become an overall music hall of fame at this point. Whitney Houston certainly deserves to be there. If you're going to use a narrow definition of that, rock and roll requires a drummer, a guitar player, a bass player, a lead singer, and maybe a keyboardist, then you're going to have trouble with some of the people who got in this year. But yeah, Whitney deserves to be there.
Yeah, not only that, you're going to have trouble with the people who got in this year, especially if you're still alive in the next 30, 40 years, the way music is changing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was somebody, another original contributor. I got to reach out and see if he wants to do a show. Daryl Talarali, who said, Daryl, who said, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but if it was originally called the Rock and Soul Hall of Fame, we wouldn't have any of these issues right now.
100%. No, Daryl's entirely correct on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it was called Rock and Soul, it would all be over. But then what would Fox News have to complain about?
Oh, I'm sure they'd find something.
Just so you know, I just want to point out, and again, I don't want to go into politics, but I found it hilarious that the impeachment thing was happening today, and yesterday Fox News came up with another migrant caravan in Honduras. I'm like, the writing is getting lazy. They tried this at the last election, and then the election happened and never talked about it again. Now suddenly there's another one for impeachment. So.
Okay, which leads to observation number 1. A, I'm glad I'm Canadian. B, number 2. Observation 1, observation B. Nice, Kirk. I'm glad I'm in Barbados.
You're 12 years in and have switched to rum, I understand.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. But it's an interesting thing. I'll leave it at that. So next up, 9 Inch Nails, which was a bit of my dark horse, and then I thought back about it. 18 months ago, Trent Reznor was shitting all over the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then all of a sudden he showed up to induct. Was it Roxy Music, I believe?
Yeah, I believe it was Roxy Music.
Okay,
yeah.
So okay, there he is. Okay, and I thought to myself, right there, he's going to get nominated. And he was, and here he is.
Yeah.
It's like, here's this mea culpa.
I'm wondering, because remember I said back when the nominations came out, who is the rock block going to vote for?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that it was going to be Judas Priest was going to be the beneficiary of Motley Crue not being on this nomination list.
Right, yes.
I think, looking at who got in, I think Nine Inch Nails ended up being the recipient of the rock block's votes.
Based on who's here, yeah, them and T-Rex, yeah, I'd say that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe they split between the two of them, but I just usually those guys all just vote together, and we end up with rock band after rock band after rock band. We have Def Leppard and Journey and Bon Jovi, and keep going that way. Kiss, Rush, whoever it is. They're like I don't understand why hard rock in metal is having such a hard time getting through the door. But if they didn't vote for, or maybe they split on Motorhead and Judas Priest, which is entirely possible as well. But it just seems to me with who got in the most, even though Trent Reznor doesn't use any guitars, it's all synthesizers and everything else. He seems much more rock than anyone else who got in really this year. And I'm going to include T-Rex in that. I know T-Rex is Bang a Gong and everything is a more rock. But it's not this type of guys those guys normally. The T-Rex is not the band they normally vote for.
No, yeah, and I totally hear what you're saying here with that. And again, Reznor, he belongs. I think he's it in terms of industrial. We're not going to see another one unless somehow Ministry or Skinny Puppy does some kind of weird renaissance. I don't see that.
Yeah, I mean, they nominated the Bad Brains one year, so you just never know. They maybe come up with somebody like that, but I do have to say with Depeche, even though it seems a little bit out of order that Depeche Mode and Nine Inch Nails got in before Kraftwerk, I think both of these bands getting in helps Kraftwerk because now they have 6 more people to vote for them getting in.
That's true.
Because
that's true.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is a numbers game, which. When we're done with this, can we just have a little bit of time to talk about the things that were wrong with this process and the major complaints that people are having online?
Absolutely.
Other than who actually got inducted? All right.
Well, the beautiful thing is it's our show. It's our weekly show. We can do whatever the hell we want.
All right. Well, let's save that for the end. I don't want to go into it now. But, yeah, I think Kraftwerk not getting in, again, I'm a little out of order here, was very disappointing because I thought maybe this was a year that they do something shady and take MC5 and take Rufus and Chaka Khan and take Kraftwerk, take Todd Rundgren, one of them, and give the Musical Excellence Award that happens so very rarely. Instead, they did the shady thing with the Ahmet Ertegun Award. We'll talk about that later too. But at least with these bands getting in, the number of people who can rally the troops behind Kraftwerk is going to increase. So that should be 6 more votes for Kraftwerk when they come up again, which I'm presuming is just going to be next year. They're just going to keep doing it until they finally figure out that we need these guys in.
Yeah, them and a few others, as we'll sort of get to. So we got 2 more that got in. Notorious B.I.G. I mean, I think that was another one you and I both pegged as a lock. There they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we pegged as a lock to be nominated. I had them number 2 on my list of bands for this year coming in, only behind Oasis. If Tupac got in the first time, Biggie has to get in the first time. Mm-hmm. The hip hop guys, whoever's in the nominating for hip hop, is doing it the right way. As long as they don't nominate LL Cool J, at this point they figured out we just need to get one guy in at a time and not split the vote. Mm-hmm. So this year it's Biggie, and it looks like next year the next year's number 1 person. If you look at the next first time eligibles is Jay-Z. Jay-Z's.
Is Jay-Z up next year? I thought it was Eminem.
No, Eminem's 2 years from now. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's backwards.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second here. No, Jay-Z. I have Jay-Z next year, and Eminem in 2022.
I think you're backwards, buddy.
Well, they're going to be, regardless of which one is
Either way, they're both surefire.
It's going to be either Jay-Z and for 1 year, Eminem next year, or Eminem 1 year, Jay-Z the next year. Whoever. Again, one of the problems we have is not knowing when anybody's actually eligible. I have Jay-Z and whatever have done eligible next year, and Eminem in 2022. But I can go back and check. I haven't done my whole list for next year yet. But regardless, the hip hop contingent is making the smart decision. Just pick one person, and they still have a backlog. They have a Tribe Called Quest. They even have Africa Bambaataa if they want to go back there.
NWA.
Snoop's never been nominated. They got him out there, but I think they're just going to take them one at a time, and because there's only one, people are voting for them, they're getting in.
Yeah, for me, my biggest snub. Well, my biggest thing personally is NWA. Not NWA. What am I saying? Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
that's what I meant to say this whole time.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang is my biggest one that I think should have been
100%,
first ballot.
Yeah. But Wu-Tang may have to wait until they get at least the next two guys through, and then you can go back and go to Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang and all the other guys. So, but at least they're doing smartly. Of course, online, this and Whitney Houston were the two that caused the most concern.
Gee, I wonder why.
Amongst people who have a narrow definition of rock.
And what do they look like that the other ones don't?
They're dead. That's clearly what it is.
Oh.
Everyone knows you can't be rock and roll and dead.
No, because there's nothing more rock and roll than being dead.
Yes, exactly right. Sometimes it's the greatest thing you can do for your career.
Ask Joplin.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to go into the coding of what a real. My air quotes are definitely showing up well on this podcast. Yeah. But a real
says the two middle-aged white guys, huh?
Yes, real rock bands, with maybe the exception of Thin Lizzy, have very few pigmented individuals in them.
Mm-hmm.
And the two people everyone were complaining about the most loudly were Whitney and Notorious B.I.G. Even though there's no chance Notorious B.I.G. wasn't getting in.
All over my timeline, more and more each year, which I guess means that we're doing better each year. That I get more of this. So, thank you.
Careful what you wish for. You just might get it, my friend.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so we got one more left.
Yeah, T-Rex.
Mm-hmm. So
my 5-year-old was very excited that a band named T-Rex got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Every time we listen to the radio, he actually asked me if the band were listening to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But he was very excited when he found out they got in, and he went up to his room and actually got this red T-shirt of a Tyrannosaurus Rex like shredding on a guitar.
So he's Dirty Sweet.
Wear that in honor of T-Rex getting into the Rock Hall. So congratulations, T-Rex! You made my 5-year-old very excited.
Dirty Sweet. Oh yeah. I'm actually very happy for them, even though they're all dead. But which makes me wonder, because I think it was also, and again, another shout out to future rock legends that broke, to my knowledge, that they're going to be having a much bigger venue for the Hall of Fame class. So when that happened, I'm trying to figure out.
I heard that was wrong, though. I heard that
that's not the case.
And then the Hall walked it back.
Oh, okay. Because when I saw that, I was trying to figure out. Okay, so then who the hell did that mean?
Well, I mean, we're going to presume that the Notorious B.I.G. song is going to be covered by Puffy, right? And Puffy and Friends.
Ugh.
I mean, who else is it going to be? It's going to be. That's who's going to be doing this stuff for Biggie. So then...
Well, he's got nothing else to do.
I'm sorry?
He has nothing else to do.
Yeah, well, yes, at this point, that's probably true. I can't tell you who's going to do T-Rex.
Yeah, sure. Who would that be? Well, yeah. That'll be interesting. Next year, my goal is to actually be there. Not this year, but next year.
Oh. Well, congratulations. You get to see either Jay-Z or Eminem.
Congrats to you. You're going to be there with me.
Oh, okay. That's not far from me. I could probably make it from Chicago to Cleveland.
Yeah, from Bridgetown, Barbados, it's a little bit of a stretch, but if I'm going, you're going.
Fair enough.
All right,
Fair enough.
So let's look at the ones who didn't get in, and I think there's one that stuck out to you, to me, to everyone else. If I were to bet my house, which I don't have because I rent one because I'm in the Caribbean, and you're the financial guy, so you probably have this house in Chicago, Boston, wherever. Did you not pick Pat Benatar to win this?
Everybody picked Pat Benatar. That was the thing. I mean, Whitney getting in. I honestly think that if Pat Benatar had gotten into Hall, a lot of the online questioning of this class would have been abated quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things, at this point, I think I have to go into one of the things the Rock Hall does poorly. And it has to come up now because it's Pat Benatar and was number 2 on the fan vote online that they're pushing and pushing and pushing. Hey, vote, hey, vote, hey, vote. And it's really like 0.1% of all the ballots being cast. And Benatar finished number 2. Benatar was leading the first couple weeks and then got passed quickly by Dave Matthews Band. Mm-hmm. And Dave Matthews Band and Pat Benatar were 1 and 2 way above everybody else the whole time the vote was going on. And then neither of them get in. And this is the first time that with Dave Matthews Band, it's the first time whoever won the online poll didn't get in the Rock Hall. And having number 1 and number 2 not get in, particularly with Pat Benatar's credentials, and I mean, who doesn't think Pat Benatar's rock and roll and deserving? Apparently, enough people in this class who are voting, but I have trouble believing that. Mm-hmm. I honestly think had Pat Benatar gotten in, a lot of the issues would have been muted. But here we are. She's not in. She'll be back up again next year. I can almost guarantee it as a nominee, but she's not in this year.
Well, and to the point of the committee, and this is something I was sort of thinking about the other day, she was nominated not as a solo. Technically, she wasn't nominated as a solo. She was nominated with a nominated. Yeah. Well, I've been drinking. Nominated with her husband, Nick Gerardo?
Gerardo, yeah.
Gerardo, thank you. So when that happened, I thought, like, okay, that was strange. And then I thought about it later. Okay, so like that's their way of saying, okay, you think she didn't write enough stuff? Okay, fine. Here we go. Here's the person who did all the stuff for her. There you go.
It's just strange. I think of all of the decisions over the years of bands that are sure were getting in and didn't, this one's right up there with Radiohead for me, when Radiohead didn't get in the first time.
Right.
As to like the most are really what's going on, although Radiohead at least had the, what's the word I want to say, the mitigating circumstances of their little spat with the Rock Hall at the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm forward, particularly with the push they supposedly had with trying to get more women in. They only ended up nominating 3 women, and we all knew Chaka Khan wasn't getting in because this is her like 14th time in the ballot. I know that's not true, but between herself and Rufus, it's at least her 7th or 8th, and she's never gotten in. Well, I think we all just presumed that Benatar was getting in because there was no good reason to keep her out when she was nominated. So.
And they even the way they even nominated her was a way to say, like, okay, look, here's a person who did all the co-writing. You have no excuse.
Yeah,
they found one.
Let's take away your reason for not voting for her. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently not enough people did. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that is the biggest shock to me in. Wow. I don't even know what to say on that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think, again, the hue and cry is probably going to help her for next year. I'd be shocked if she's not nominated again. It'll be her, Chaka Khan, and they'll find a 3rd woman to nominate.
Yeah, the rest of Sheik.
And then 1 or 2 of them will get in, and we'll lather, rinse, repeat. 1 or 2 of them will get in, and it won't be Chaka Khan. Mm-hmm. So...
So
unless they come up with
others,
a backdoor way of getting her in.
yeah. So others who didn't get in, Judas Priest. That's another one that I thought was going to get in. I really thought this was their year. It wasn't. They even did all the interviews, perfectly.
Yeah.
And
I
they're
mean,
not there.
I think we kind of touched on this.
Yeah.
It may have been. I thought that having Motorhead on the ballot would have helped them, just in comparison. Hey, the Rock Block, vote for us. There's another band here if you want. But it's highly possible, like I said, Motorhead split this with them. Judas Priest is a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. I don't know how long it's going to take them. I don't know how many nominations it's going to take them, but they deserve to be in there. They need to be in there. And until they are in there, there are a whole bunch of other bands who need to come up we're never going to see until the Priest sell away. Like Iron Maiden deserves to be in the Rock Hall.
Yep.
We're never going to get Iron Maiden in until we get the Judas Priest through. And, so they just need to get their acts together and get them through.
Yeah, and another one that even though technically you want to put them in a different category, MC5.
Right. Yeah, MC5 is an interesting case. Again, there's somebody else who I thought might get the benefit of backdoor entry because they're up they're basically in last place every single year on the online vote.
Right.
Like, and it's like depressingly small. I'm sure about half of their votes are mine.
Right up there with Sing Street on the other thing, but that's another story.
I didn't hear the first part of that.
I said right up there with Sing Street.
Yes, well, yes. Thank you for getting them through onto the new ballot for the fictitious Rock Hall of Fame. But that's a whole other. I don't know if we're doing that in the podcast today. It's a whole other thing. I'm just glad they're there.
Yep.
Now I just need you to get for next year. I just need you to get Love Handle from Phineas and Ferb, and we'll be all set. It's my last one.
Okay. On it.
All right. Yeah, no, but it's MC5. I'm having a hard time seeing what their voting block is out of what we can see. They just don't have a natural group of people who are going to vote for them. So MC5, again, they deserve to be in. MC5 is my argument for the seniors committee, which they need to come up with. Like, you want MC5 in,
yes.
Put them up or down, let them go, and make a decision. Actually, my mother-in-law and father-in-law went to a concert here in Illinois last week with Herman's Hermits and Jerry and the Pacemakers together. Apparently, the Hermits were really, really good, and Jerry and the Pacemakers a little bit sketchy.
Well, their pacemakers were working full blast. Sorry.
Wow. But I mean, like bands like those are other ones that, hey, let's just give them the up or down vote like they do in the NFL. See if we can get them in. If we can't, that sucks. If we can, great. Let's just get some of these. Eliminate the backlog from. There's still some old bands who deserve it, but let's get more of the younger bands in and keep moving this way. Because, like I said, we have that whole bubble of bands who there's just nobody getting in for years from certain nomination classes because it's taken so long to get through the backlog and the way they're doing things.
And you sort of touched on something there that's almost as perfect. So to qualify for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's got to be 25 years. So, like, why not 25 to 50, your main core committee, and then 50 plus? You know, it's built in there perfectly. Oh, did I lose you?
Sorry, I accidentally hit the mute button with my ear.
Oh, nice. Nice, which is sort of like, I'm going to do what the young people say to us. Okay, boomer.
No, I am not a boomer.
Yeah, neither am I. But I was just going to say, like, I was just going to say, like, maybe there should be, like, sort of like because to qualify for the Rock Hall, it's 25 years after your first album. So I thought, like, okay, from 25 to 50, there's your main category, 50 plus. It's a special committee.
No, agreed. Yeah. I mean, that makes too much sense for them to do it, though.
True.
Like, it makes too much sense, but what they're not realizing is the complete ability to crony whoever they want into that seniors category. Like, if we know they're going to be seniors every time, just pick your favorite random person. You want a Net Funicello up there? You put a Net Funicello up there. I mean, you could just go with whoever it is, and there's just so many pet projects they could go through, and they haven't done it. I'm not advocating for Net Funicello. I'm just pointing out they can pick whoever the hell they want. I mean,
but
just
the peanut butter that she shills is really good.
I mean, just looking back at people who have been eligible since the beginning, like Benny King, Carol King, Chuck Willis, Conway Twitty, John Coltrane, Johnny Ace, Cliff Richards in the Shadows, Aaron Neville. I mean, you just Link Ray, Mary Wells, Johnny Mathis, Paul Anka.
There's a lot.
I'm sorry?
Oh, there's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are people who've been eligible with the Chantels, the Dominoes, the Five Satins. I mean, the Penguins. There are just so many. Neil Sedaka. Those guys have all been eligible since the very beginning. Now, some of them have been nominated, but a whole bunch of them haven't. And they've been eligible since '86 at least, which is now, how many years ago was that? 34 at this point? It'll be 35 years that they've been eligible. Like, all those bands all those people should just be in that pool, and you can just decide who you want to grab out of there. And just have an up or down vote. Get the Spinners in. If that's what
oh my God, I want them in so bad.
Get the Spinners in that way.
Yes. So the other ones who didn't get in, Soundgarden, well, they'll get another shot at it.
Yeah, Soundgarden. Well, it's going to be interesting whether it's Soundgarden or
Rage Against the Machine.
Rage Against the Machine again. But whoever's been in that spot hasn't gotten in now for years at this point. Because this year it was Soundgarden. It had been Rage the 2 years before that. The year before that it was Jane's Addiction. And then that category didn't really exist prior to that. So that whole grunge Seattle music scene thing. I mean, we got Pearl Jam in.
Well, and they were going to put Nirvana and Pearl Jam in right away. But now we've got that glut.
And they did. And they got those two in, but like everybody else from that era, so 2017 is when Pearl Jam got in. When Nirvana get in?
Whenever their first year of eligibility was, yeah.
They got in 2014.
14, okay.
So they got in 14. Pearl Jam was eligible in 17. They got in. But then other than that, 17 was Jane's Addiction, 18 Rage Against the Machine, 19 Rage Against the Machine, 20 Soundgarden. None of those bands have gotten in. They're 0 for 4 on the ones who are not first ballots. So it's going to be interesting seeing whoever they nominate next, whether it's one of those three bands or they go to, I don't know, Alice in Chains or
Smashing
somebody
Pumpkins.
Else. I'm sorry?
Smashing Pumpkins is a pretty...
Smashing Pumpkins is another one, yeah. Or they could go a little bit more on the Sonic Youth social distortion side of things if they wanted to as well. But whoever's been in that spot hasn't gotten in.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting for the nominating committee to find the right person for them to make sure they try and get in through. So.
So Todd Rundgren didn't get in either.
And it's the second year in a row we thought he'd get in the musical extras category, and he didn't get that. God, they didn't use it at all. So.
Yeah. I would have. That was another one I would have bet the farm on. Of course, I don't have a farm, and of course, I live in an island where there is no farm. Well, there might be a farm. I don't know. I'm usually at the bar, so what do I know?
It's probably sugarcane, right?
Actually, yes. Yes, and come visit, and it'll be awesome.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
but Todd Rundgren is, again, someone who, had he gotten in, people would have been a little bit happier about things as well. It's surprising that he's 0 for 2 at this point. I fully expect to see him again next year. Until he gets in, we'll see exactly what they end up with. But yeah, it's surprising Rundgren's on the outside again.
And big one that's sort of like getting a lot of attention, and I can see why, because it's the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if it's the first time ever that somebody won the popular vote on the Rock All site that did not get in. That's the Dave Matthews Band.
Right, yeah. That's what I was saying before. Number 1 and number 2 were Dave Matthews and Pat Benatar,
Mm-hmm.
and neither of them got through. It doesn't surprise me. As soon as Dave was winning, there was a whole bunch of discussion online as to what that meant, because it felt a little early for Dave to get in.
Mm-hmm.
I had them eligible this year for the first time. Others had them eligible last year. But regardless, I love Dave Matthews. I've been to... they're probably the band I've seen second most ever.
Is that behind Bananarama?
I'm sorry?
Is that behind Bananarama?
I have never actually seen Bananarama. I've always wanted to see Bananarama and Catch Goo Goo together, but it never worked
Right, well
out.
done. Sorry. I threw that out. I wanted to see what you would do with that. Well done. But
Yeah.
go on.
Thank you. I always think of those two together. And I have actually seen the band I have seen unintentionally the most. I have seen them twice without meaning to, is Smash Mouth.
You might as well be walking in the sun.
I have 2 times accidentally seen Smash Mouth without meaning to. So
nice.
Yeah. Once I was I had to waste some credits in college, so I took a scuba diving class. And I came out of the pool and into the gym to see if anything was going on, and there was a Smash Mouth concert going on in college. And then a few years ago, here in my hometown, we were at the town festival, and we were leaving, and Smash Mouth was on the main stage playing. And I'm like, this is twice. Twice I've just walked in the middle of a Smash Mouth concert. Anyway, this is the only time Smash Mouth will ever be discussed on this this podcast, probably as a...
I hope so.
Anyway, so back to Dave Matthews. Yeah, Dave Matthews is, I think, eventually going to get in. The fact that they were so popular online may give some people pause in terms of who they're voting for next year. I'd be shocked if they weren't nominated again. It's unprecedented that the person who won the online vote didn't get in. I think it'd be even more unprecedented if they didn't get nominated again for the next year. So it wouldn't surprise me if they get nominated again next year, win the online vote again next year, and don't get in again. Although there may be a bit of a mutiny, because without the amount of, at least with the people voting online, because they kept pushing this, hey, vote, 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 and how important it was, and they extended out the voting online for a month to get more people to vote and everything like that. And then it just seems like everyone who voted is completely disregarded because nobody read the small print that this whole thing counted as one ballot amongst the 1,000-ish that go in every year.
And it never counted as anything. And as a website owner, and I'm being a little bit cynical here, as someone who's trying to drive traffic and whatnot, so...
Yeah. It's just another thing along the way of people not trusting the Rock Hall and feeling as though their voices aren't heard, and people who, the whole argument we see online all the time, X Hall of Fame is a joke until Y person is in.
Yes.
Or Y band is in. We see that argument all the time. There were some actually pretty good arguments when it came to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which we may talk about later. There's some people who are like, Randy Gradishar should have been in. Here's why he deserves to be in over this pick Ed Sprinkle for the heck of it.
Right.
Here's why he deserves to be in. And you're like, I can see your argument. That's a good argument. Like, they may have made a mistake, but the way they set this thing up, they wanted more old people, and Ed Sprinkle just happened to fill the role. Gradishar deserved to be in. You have a thing. People were arguing for Drew Pearson. Pearson, this was his first time somehow ever on a ballot, which I don't understand, because he's first team all 70s and had never been on a ballot before. And he's now the only person from the all 70s decade team of the major skill positions who is not in.
No, I'm glad you brought him up, because I want to finish up this show with that. Yeah, and I think there's something to all of this and how we sort of got here. Especially with the Rock Hall and sort of how they decided this open vote. I honestly think that all the other votes where they sort of came up with the person who was going to, or person or band was going to win the whole thing. It just happened to sort of like fit with what the committee wanted. It was a
Right.
fluke.
Yeah, they were all the popular rock bands who the rock block could all just vote for.
Mm-hmm.
So Journey didn't get in because the people online wanted it. Journey got in because all the guys who vote for rock voted for Journey.
Right, and that's when Dave Matthews won. I thought, okay, this will be interesting. Are they going to get through? And I thought they would. But then I didn't think about sort of like the fact that, all right, let's be honest. The people voting don't give a fuck.
They do not. A lot of them don't. A lot of them just vote for their friends. So, which is why they need to get Kraftwerk in the back way. Because Kraftwerk doesn't know anybody.
Yeah, they don't know anybody. They don't care to know anybody.
Yeah,
so
like the people
like
who
them
vote
and
for
Shaka
Kraftwerk
Khan
aren't in the Rock Hall either. So, yeah, it's this class. I think is a good class. I don't think there's anyone who's not deserving who is in this hall.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand the frustrations of a lot of the people who thought that it was not as representative as them taking the racial coding out of it. But a lot of that comes from the amount of pushing, I guess, they're trying to get people to the website with the vote and then the almost complete ignoring of the results of that vote. So,
well, I said this to I said this to Vinny when we were working on this. Vinny Laspanuso, in terms of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, when they were doing all the online votes there. And so, like, I could be wrong here. I wish he was here. And he would say that the number one pick out of every preliminary nominee was Donald Driver.
Okay.
All right. So it's like, okay, Driver, great wide receiver. Hall of Famer out of all 115 people? No.
No.
But what are they trying to do?
But Packers fans vote.
Yeah. Not only that, and again, I'm just speaking this as someone who owns a website, right? So if I can get more people to sort of like track here, it doesn't hurt me.
Right, of course.
So,
of course, right.
Yeah, and it's sort of like the same thing. So like when people said like, okay, you're just trying to collect data. Well, okay, they're not trying to collect data, but it doesn't hurt their overall website ranking when they're trying to sell a bunch of shit and ads.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Of course it doesn't. So, but they need to be a lot more transparent about how many people are voting and everything like that, because there's not only just number one didn't make it, but when number one and number two don't make it, that's what people are like, hey, what the heck's going on here? Why should we trust you?
Well,
because the
lucky.
Rock Hall is the most subjective of the Hall of Fame, as it is anyway. And
they got lucky that the last 5 years happened to sort of like fit to what people thought, even the people who were voting.
Right. Yeah. Did we talk about everyone? Or Thin Lizzy's the only one left, right? Or Thin Lizzy.
Oh, no, we haven't talked about Thin Lizzy.
Shaka Khan, but
we briefly talked about Shaka Khan. Obviously, they want Shaka in there because like they tried to put her in with Rufus and as a solo, and for whatever reason, the committee, or not the committee, the voters, because there is a difference.
Yeah, very much a big difference.
Yeah. Just don't want to put her in there, and she's now in Susan Lucci category.
Yeah. She's been nominated twice on her own and 4 times with Rufus. So it's a total of 6 times, the same number of times as Kraftwerk at this point. I'm not sure what's going to take to get Chaka Khan in, outside of, again, the Nile Rodgers musical excellence thing.
Yeah, well, at least she has that. Kraftwerk doesn't.
That's true. Well, I mean, Kraftwerk, like you said when we talked about this before, they're the second most sampled band of all time.
Mm-hmm. Behind James Brown,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, how can that not be musical excellence or whatever category you want to come up with for it? So, I mean, I guess they're playing things on computers, which makes things maybe people questioning what musical means in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But they're certainly as influential as anybody. They're number one on your list, right, of the snubs?
Right now, number one, we're working on the revisions, and they're probably going to say number one. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I only see two bands coming in next year. One being Jay-Z / Eminem,
mm-hmm.
and the other being the Foo Fighters, who have a legitimate shot of being first ballot Hall of Famers. This year, I remember I had that crazy list that was a lot of really, really good bands. Next year, I don't have nearly as many, unless you're, I guess, a big believer in Wilco. Looking at everybody
love
else
Wilco, but I don't see them ever getting in. Period.
Yeah, my point though is, like, if you're looking at the big names for next year,
yeah,
I mean,
no, I agree.
Ben Folds 5, the Chemical Brothers. I mean, Enrique Iglesias.
We're scraping, aren't we?
Garbage might have a shot at some level at some point. Not right away, but would that be crazy sometime in the future? No.
I do have a crush on Shirley Manson that still exists.
I'm sorry?
I was saying I still have a crush on Shirley Manson.
Oh, everyone has a crush on Shirley Manson. Who knows who the heck she is? Who else we got? We have Jewel.
What do you mean? Who the fucking knows who the hell she is? Lead singer of Garbage.
I mean, Vinny. I'm sure Vinny has no idea who Shirley Manson is. If he had an album the day he came up with an album the day he was born, he's not even eligible for the Rock Hall yet. So,
oh God, we're shitting on poor little Vinny.
I'm not shitting on him. I'm just saying it's possible that not everyone is as big a fan as Garbage as you and I may be.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, I'll do that too.
I was going to say the other ones eligible. We have Jewel. We have Natalie Merchant, Presidents of the USA, Rammstein.
Presidents of the USA. Oh my God.
I mean, Silverchair, Slater-Kinney, who some people thought was eligible this year. Sugar Ray. None of Semisonic. None of these other groups are getting in. It's just basically.
Yeah.
It's basically Jay-Z and the Foo Fighters, and maybe somebody else gets in at some point in the future if they open things up. But that's it. So it wouldn't surprise me if Kraftwerk is still number one, because there's just nobody. There's nobody else coming in. Carbon Leaf? Are you a big Carbon Leaf guy for getting in?
No. I got the damn Peaches song in my head. Thank you for that.
Faith Evans.
Moving
Guster.
to the country, gonna meet a lot of peaches.
My kids love that song because I hate peaches, and they just love singing it just to taunt me.
Do they really?
I'm sorry?
Do they really?
They do. Oh, yeah.
No way. Oh, my God.
I guess there's one thing that, people... It's one weird thing that all of us just hate that other people love. I don't understand how anyone consumes a peach. I don't... They are so bad, taste-wise to me. And I like nectarines. I like apricots. Peaches are awful. And I don't understand how people eat them. So, what can I say? So, they know how much I hate peaches. So, they're full, so it's 5 and 7, and they still tell me with that song every once in a while. So.
Damn. All right. So, when you visit me here in the Caribbean, it's not just you, your wife, your kids are coming too.
Fair enough.
All right.
So
awesome. Awesome.
All right. Is there anyone else we missed?
I don't think so, but I want to get your shot.
Just then Lizzie, I think, right?
No, we talked about it. We touched on that because I don't know about yourself, but I didn't think they were going to get in. It was nice that they got a nomination.
Either. It was nice to see them, but I don't think I wasn't surprised they get in out of this group.
Mm-hmm. What I want right now is your thoughts on the football senior finalists. What do you think?
I think that they did an okay job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some who I would prefer to have seen in. I already talked about Gradishar.
Yep.
I thought Pearson had a really good thing. The whole thing with him bringing the film crew to his house and then not getting in was one of the saddest things. I'm sorry that got published. It just made me feel terrible.
Oh, you mean Pearson? Drew Pearson.
Yeah, Drew Pearson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gradishar's interview afterwards was classy and everything else. And Pearson's may very well have been had it not been directly in the moment when he found out he wasn't getting in. Although I do have to say online, the silliest thing I saw online this entire week was the lady who said that Drew Pearson didn't get in because he was a cowboy, because he wore a star in his helmet. He wouldn't get in. And I'm like, if he had gotten in over somebody else, 20% of this class would have been cowboys. Calm down, lady.
Right, yeah. Cliff Harris disagrees with you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I mean, Pearson was a little surprising, particularly since Carmichael got in, who was on the second team of the 70s, and the first team guy didn't get in. Gradishar is a big one. Roger Craig, who is my sentimental favorite, didn't get in.
Right.
There did appear to be, honestly, a lot of East Coast bias in who did get in. Most of those were AFC or NFC East folks. A couple of Bears and Winston Hill, who I have no trouble with Winston Hill getting in. Probably the most decorated Jet who wasn't in the Hall of Fame. I have absolutely no problem with Winston Hill getting in.
Yeah,
but it did seem very East Coast, and I guess to Chicago and Dallas, which counts as NFC East, biased as to who actually got in, which was interesting.
Yeah, and to your point, did you watch the NFL Network when they did that?
I did. Well, I watched for a while, but then I had to bring my kids to school.
Yes.
And
okay.
Came back and saw the rest of it. Like I saw off to Harold Carmichael and Donnie Shell getting in. I think once Shell came on, I had to go and bring the kids to school, and that came back and found out that Mongo had punched out a horse and his way into the Hall. Like, so. Which I was it was exciting to see Karras as well get in. I thought he was someone who was deserving.
Here comes Mongo.
And it was good to see. Yes, and it was good to see him. I mean, after he and Paul Hornung both got banned for a year for betting on the game, they're now both in the Hall, which is interesting as well. But yeah, the whole dragging it out thing and having the people who I wasn't necessarily sure they knew who they were talking about on the NFL Network. I hate saying that because that's what they do. But some of those old people, like, they were not prepped for who Ed Sprinkle was. They were not prepped for who. There are a couple others. I'm trying to think of Bobby. I can't think of his last name right now.
Dylan.
It just slipped right out of my head. Yeah, you're right there.
Right,
yeah, they had no idea who that was either.
No, I hated. I honestly, and I don't know about this here. NFL Network is way better than anything that NHL and NBA and MLB has ever done. But holy fuck, they dropped the ball here, and it was hard to watch.
It was. It was, and I'm glad that I did miss the part where they brought on the commissioner to talk about Paul Tagliabue.
I watched that.
Before this. Well, I think I told you before this. So a lot of people were concerned that they're just coming up for this committee because they have never been able to get Tagliabue through the door, and they come up with this committee in order to just find a way to justify getting Tagliabue in. And when Steve Sable got in, I think Steve Sable and George Young were two of my three people I would have put in from the contributors without thinking about it. So I'm glad both of them are there. But that last spot should have gone to someone other than the guy who denied concussions were real and caused brain damage.
He's looking.
It was frustrating to see that he was through.
Right.
As I think I told you, this is going to be a class of 19+1, in my opinion. And Tagliabue was just a political choice. And I think I told you ahead of time, too, the person who I would put in that place, having gone back through and looked at this, do you know there are no officials at all in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? There's zero.
Yeah, I didn't know that until we discussed this before we went on live, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's zero. If we're going to talk about the history of football, there should be an official in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's officials in hockey, the officials in baseball. I don't know if they're officials in basketball. There's got to be, because like we said, everybody's in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. But there isn't a single official. And they had Art McNally right there, who, by all accounts, is regarded as, if not the greatest official, one of the 2 or 3 greatest officials ever in the history of the league. The dude is 94 years old and still alive. Like, how much longer are we going to wait for him? Like, that's the guy. If you want to make this whole thing the NFL 100 and put everything like that, put an official in the Hall of Fame.
You think they will?
I hope they do. I mean, the one thing I hope that comes out of this whole thing is they're going to see, I'm hoping that they're going to have the 5 guys go in. I really think they should do the 5 plus the 2 coaches should go in together, just split up, but that's not how they're going to do it, just to make it, 7 on one side and 13 on the other. But they're going to have the 5 go in, and they're going to have the 15 go in, and they're going to realize that having the 15 go in is not so bad. And I'm hoping this allows them to try and get rid of some of this backlog. We could still keep the 5 original guys coming in if you want to do it that way, but then open it up to, instead of having 2 seniors candidates, we're doing 2 seniors candidates and 1 contributor one year, and then 2 contributors, 1 senior candidate the next year. Just make it 3 seniors candidates and 2 contributors, which would include coaches at this point, and the 15 finalists, and have 10 every year, and just get rid of this backlog we have of guys trying to get through, because the Pro Football Hall of Fame has the most people. Right? There are more people playing pro football than any other sport. And there's just
it's not even close.
And when they do things like, I keep bringing up this class, but the class of the 4 quarterbacks back in, 2004, the one where Kuchenberg should have gotten in and didn't, because it was him and Michael Irvin and somebody else were among the 5 last guys to vote up or down on, and they skipped on everyone except for it was Marino and Dan Young, Steve Young and Dan Marino. It's back in 2005. And then they put in Fritz Pollard and Benny Friedman. So you had a 4 quarterback class. And that was, when you do stupid things like that, you create this backlog of guys who should be getting in who don't. And you never catch back up. Baseball had that problem when the year that they didn't put anybody in, they should have at least put Biggio in that one year. But they were making a statement. And nobody got in. And then we ended up with we'll know how to clear this backlog. We'll make it harder. We'll give people less time on the ballot, and still limit the number of people you could vote for, which was the opposite way they should have taken care of it. They should have kept the same amount of time.
Can't imagine baseball getting it wrong.
Yeah, well, don't get me started. Okay, we started with the Astros and the Red Sox, and I guess the Mets and everything else is going on there. All I have to say about this is Rob Manfred is making Bud Selig look like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And that's saying something. If this had happened in a vacuum and they had just found out about it and they did this, then fine. But the fact he's afraid of getting into a fight with the players on this, knew about for 2 years and did nothing about it, and then came up with this wishy-washy thing where McLean gets to keep his championships. All they do is fire his manager, general manager, $5 million and 4 draft picks. Would you take the only championship in your franchise's history for giving up those 5 things? And there's no penalty to him. $5 million is what to a billionaire? There have to be greater consequences for what's going on. This goes well beyond steroids to me. It was a legitimate
to me it is too. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's I'm trying to think of what's the percentage over this to the PED thing, for you.
So PEDs to me are individuals who are trying to improve their performance in such a way as, put it this way, it's like studying for a test. And PEDs are a stimulant you're taking in order to do better on the test. What they're doing is basically they're Charles Van Doren getting the answers to the quiz show before it happens.
All right. 10 points to those who know what
So,
that means, which I will not give you 10 points because I don't know you, but yes. But go on.
I mean, essentially, that's what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
particularly if the thing that we were hearing today about Altuve and Springer is correct, that they actually had buzzers in their clothes that were based off of what was coming next. I mean, people tried that trick at casinos, got themselves killed with like the things in their shoes with people cheating.
Mm-hmm.
With someone looking at the cards and they buzz a certain number of times, like that'll get you killed in the casino. That's essentially what they were doing. So this is, and again, the Red Sox may also be very well involved in this, and that is my team. And if they did the same thing, they completely deserve everything that's coming to them. I'm not going to be a hypocrite on this. This is worse than what anyone's worst idea of Spygate is for the Patriots, where the Patriots were getting something ahead of time, the hopes of coming up with something later. Like in a future game, they weren't doing whatever it was live. And again, I think Spygate is, I'm a defender of the wall. They did Spygate, but it's massively overblown as to the amount of benefit they would have gotten from it. They could have filmed from the stands and been fine. They were just filming from the sidelines. A difference of geography doesn't change anything to me. But they were told not to do it. They did it, paid the fine, lost the draft pick. They deserved it because they were told specifically not to do it and did it anyway. This is far worse. This is like developed over time to a science. And in my opinion, there's no way McClain didn't know about it. There's 0% chance. He wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And he's getting away scot-free. So, anyway. But we were talking about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. What did you think?
Okay, so my take on the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I said this to Vinny Lasvenuso, the 20-year-old wunderkind, who knows more about this stuff than probably those voting combined. My belief with all of that was, just the way they handled it. Like, did you watch that when they did that?
Like, did I watch the what? Did I watch the program?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, my biggest issue was, okay, you've got this X amount of people who are going to be going to the Hall of Fame. You've told a couple of them that they're going to, and then you didn't tell the rest.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking. It's like absolutely heartbreaking, and they could do better. They've been around long enough. They know to do better.
By this whole thing. Like I said, I don't think that people. I think they did a pretty good job picking the people they picked. I think Jimmy Johnson was a good selection. I'm a little less sure about Cowher. I think I would put Holmgren in before Cowher. But I still think I'd put Coryell or even Tom Flores in before either of them. But just the way that those two were surprised on TV ahead of time was cool for all of us. That kind of sucked for everyone else. Like, everyone's waiting for this day, all the coaches, and they get to find out on consecutive days that they don't have a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It was awfully done in very many ways.
Yeah, and I think it was poorly done, and I just want to throw this back out. You put out this goofy tweet that was so completely right. David Baker had this great idea.
Yeah, trying to get himself nominated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was everywhere. He was everywhere during this stuff.
And he's hard to miss. He's 6'9", 400 pounds.
That's so true. So
like when he went out for Jimmy Johnson, and he was like way bigger than Strahan or Howie Long, you're just like, holy crap, that's a big dude. When you make Michael Strahan and Howie Long look small, That's a big dude.
Well, it takes a lot just to make his Michael Strahan's gap look good. Hey! Oh, please, he's doing fine.
He's doing fine. He probably is not going to be offended by what you said.
Yeah, he's thinking like, who's this asshole? So it's okay. It's go. Yeah,
Strahan,
go on.
I know you're listening. Strahan, we know you're listening this far into the podcast. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, you're right up there with Tiki Barber, who wants his job.
Yeah, right. But anyway, yeah. So no, they could they have handled it better? Yeah. Do I think they did a pretty good job picking people? Yeah. I mean, I have questions in certain places. I'm glad Duke Slater's in. I'm glad Max Speedy's in. I'm excited, like you said, that they closed the class in 1983. So everybody who was nominated in 1983 is now in. We could close one more class coming up if they get Sean Lynch in. We'd close 2014. So everyone nominated in 14 would be in at this point. But yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. And it'll be interesting to see who the next people are. And we'll be interested to see, what I'm hoping more than anything out of this class is we have some lasting changes to how people get nominated and how many people are getting in every year.
Right, and so like overall, I'm not upset with 10 they decided, and like, how can you be? I mean, like, they're it's a good group, no?
It's a good group. I mean, could you argue Pearson? Could you argue Tommy Nobis, who we had talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you could. But yeah, we just haven't had the opportunity to do so. So, anyway, I think we just had a kid have an accident upstairs. So I unfortunately think I got to cut this short right now. Yeah. So I think I got to go change some sheets.
All right. All good, man. All right. So we're going to do this next week. And thanks so much.
All right, cool. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Later.
All right, bye.